My wife cheated on me with my best friend, but when her secret came out, she begged for forgiveness. I thought losing her would destroy me, but what destroyed her was the truth she tried so hard to hide. 1. The life I thought was perfect. You know that feeling when everything in your life just fits? When you wake up next to someone you love, and for a moment, the world feels right? That's what I had with Sarah. Or at least, that's what I believed. We'd been married for 5 years. 5 years of building a life together. A small house in the suburbs, Sunday morning pancakes, late-night conversations about our future. She was my best friend, my partner, the person I trusted more than anyone in this world. And then there was Jake, my actual best friend since college. The guy who stood next to me at my wedding. The one who helped us move into our first apartment, who showed up with pizza and beer whenever we needed him. He was family. More than family, really. He was the brother I never had. The three of us were inseparable. Game nights every Friday, weekend trips to the lake, barbecues in the backyard where we'd laugh until our stomachs hurt. Looking back now, I realize how blind I was, how naive. I thought I had it all figured out. I worked long hours as a project manager at a tech firm. The money was good, and I wanted to give Sarah the life she deserved. She worked part-time at a boutique downtown, something she genuinely loved. It gave her freedom, creativity, and honestly, I was proud of her. I wanted her to be happy. Jake worked from home as a freelance graphic designer. Flexible schedule, always available, always around. I never questioned it when Sarah mentioned grabbing coffee with Jake while I was at work. Why would I? They were both important to me. I actually encouraged their friendship. I thought it was healthy that my wife and best friend got along so well. God, I was such a fool. The signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Sarah started dressing up more, even on days she wasn't working. She'd check her phone constantly and smile at the screen in ways that used to be reserved for me. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd say it was her sister or a coworker. I believed her, because that's what you do when you trust someone completely. You believe them. Jake became distant too. He'd cancel plans last minute, saying he had a deadline or wasn't feeling well. But then I'd see him post stories on social media, at the gym, at a coffee shop, living his life. Just not with me anymore. I told myself it was normal. People get busy. Relationships evolve. Life happens. But deep down, somewhere I didn't want to acknowledge, I felt it. That quiet, creeping feeling that something was wrong. That invisible shift when the person you love starts pulling away and you can't quite figure out why. I just never imagined the truth would be this ugly. 2. The day everything shattered. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because Tuesdays were usually my longest days at the office. But that day, I got sent home early. A client meeting got canceled, and my boss told me to take the rest of the day off. I was excited. I thought I'd surprise Sarah. Maybe we could catch a movie or just spend some quiet time together. I drove home with a smile on my face, completely unaware that my entire world was about to collapse. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Jake's car parked across the street. That was odd, but not alarming. Maybe he'd stopped by to drop something off. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. My mind made excuses because that's what it does when it's trying to protect you from pain. I walked up to the front door and reached for my keys, but then I heard it. Laughter. Sarah's laughter. And Jake's voice, low and warm, saying something I couldn't quite make out. I opened the door quietly. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me already knew. And there they were. On my couch, in my house. Sarah was sitting close, too close, leaning into Jake with her hand on his chest. They were looking at each other the way Sarah used to look at me, the way that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. But then Jake leaned in and kissed her. And she kissed him back. I don't remember making a sound, but I must have, because they both froze and turned toward me. Sarah's face went pale. Jake stood up so fast he almost tripped over the coffee table. "It's not what it looks like," Sarah said. Her voice was shaking, but I could barely hear her over the ringing in my ears. I just stared at them. My wife, my best friend, the two people I trusted most in this world, and they'd been lying to me. For how long? Weeks? Months? "How long?" I finally managed to say. My voice didn't even sound like mine. Neither of them answered. Sarah started crying, reaching for me, but I stepped back like she was a stranger. "How long?" "3 months," Jake whispered. He couldn't even look at me. 3 months. 90 days of lies. 90 days of them laughing behind my back, sharing secrets, building something while I worked myself to exhaustion trying to give Sarah a good life. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch Jake. I wanted to grab Sarah and ask her why I wasn't enough. But instead, I just left. I walked out of that house, got in my car, and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to get away from them, from the betrayal, from the pain that was ripping through my chest like a wildfire. I ended up at a hotel that night, alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every sign I'd missed, every lie they'd told. And that's when the anger started to set in. Not just anger, rage, the kind that burns slow and deep. They thought they could do this to me and get away with it, but they had no idea what was coming. 3. The breaking point. The next few days were a blur. Sarah called me non-stop. Texts, voicemails, emails, all begging me to come home, to let her explain. Jake tried reaching out too, saying it was a mistake, that he never meant to hurt me. A mistake. That's what they called it. Like 3 months of betrayal was just an accident. I ignored them both. I stayed at the hotel, took time off work, and tried to figure out what to do next. My mind was a war zone. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to believe that we could fix this. But the rational part, the part that wasn't blinded by love anymore, knew the truth. This wasn't fixable. Trust, once broken like this, doesn't just heal. It leaves scars. On the 4th day, Sarah showed up at the hotel. I don't know how she found me, but there she was, standing outside my door with tears streaming down her face. "Please," she said, "please just talk to me. I made a horrible mistake. I love you. I've always loved you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. But I couldn't. "You didn't just make a mistake, Sarah. You made a choice. Every single day for 3 months, you chose him over me." "It wasn't like that," she sobbed. "It just happened. We got close, and I was confused, and—" "Stop." I couldn't listen to more excuses. You weren't confused. You knew exactly what you were doing. You just didn't care. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "I'll do anything," she whispered. "Anything to fix this. I'll cut him off. I'll go to therapy. I'll prove to you that I can change." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger, someone who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. "I need space," I said. "I need time to think." She nodded, wiping her tears, and left. But I wasn't thinking about forgiveness. I was thinking about justice. Because while Sarah was begging for my forgiveness, I'd started digging, and what I found changed everything. 4. The secret she was hiding. I'm not the kind of person who goes through someone's phone or invades their privacy. But desperate times called for desperate measures. Before Sarah showed up at the hotel, I'd gone back to the house while she was at work and grabbed her laptop. I know it sounds petty. Maybe it was. But I needed to know the truth. The whole truth. What I discovered was worse than I ever imagined. Sarah and Jake had been talking for over 6 months, long before the physical affair started. The messages were intimate, flirty, full of inside jokes and plans to meet up behind my back. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the money. I found bank statements showing withdrawals from our joint account. Thousands of dollars over the past few months. Money I thought was going towards Sarah's boutique expenses or household bills. But it wasn't. She'd been giving it to Jake. He'd been struggling financially for a while, and instead of telling me, instead of asking for help like a real friend would, he'd convinced Sarah to secretly fund his lifestyle. Fancy dinners, weekend trips, new equipment for his business. And Sarah had gone along with it. She'd stolen from our savings, from the future we were building together, to support her affair. I felt sick. This wasn't just betrayal. This was calculated, planned. They'd both used me. But here's the thing they didn't know. I had proof. Screenshots, bank records, text messages where Jake joked about me being clueless and Sarah calling me too busy to notice. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd just roll over and let them destroy me. They were wrong. 5. My silent revenge. I didn't confront them right away. That would have been too easy. Instead, I played the long game. I started by talking to a lawyer, filed for divorce quietly, making sure every piece of evidence was documented. The affair, the stolen money, everything. Then I reached out to Jake's clients. See, Jake's freelance career depended on his reputation, and I happened to know several of the companies he worked with, connections I'd helped him make over the years. I didn't badmouth him. I didn't have to. I simply shared the truth. Let them know the kind of person they were doing business with. Someone who betrayed his best friend, who manipulated and lied without remorse. One by one, his clients started dropping him. His income dried up. The same money Sarah had been funneling to him, gone. As for Sarah, I froze our joint accounts. Legally, I had every right to. She suddenly found herself cut off from the funds she'd been stealing. And then I waited. It didn't take long. Within 2 weeks, Sarah was panicking. Bills were piling up. Jake couldn't help her anymore because he was drowning in his own financial mess. She called me, crying, begging me to unfreeze the accounts. I need that money, she said. I have rent to pay, bills. The money you stole from me? I interrupted. The money you gave to Jake behind my back? Silence. You knew, she whispered. I know everything, Sarah. Every lie, every transaction, every message. She broke down. Please, I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I'll pay you back. I'll do anything. You'll do anything? I repeated. Then sign the divorce papers. 6. When truth finally spoke. The divorce was finalized within 3 months. Sarah got nothing. No alimony, no split of assets. Her own actions, the affair, the financial betrayal, had destroyed any claim she might have had. Jake lost everything too. His reputation, his clients, his friendship with me. But here's the part they never saw coming. I didn't do all this just to hurt them. I did it to free myself. Because staying angry, staying bitter, that would have meant they still had power over me, and I refused to give them that. The day the divorce was finalized, Sarah called me one last time. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. I lost everything, she said. My marriage, my home, my future. You didn't lose it, Sarah. You threw it away. Can you ever forgive me? She asked. Her voice was small, broken. I thought about it for a moment. Forgiveness. What did that even mean? Did it mean letting her back into my life? Pretending like none of this happened? No. Forgiveness, I realized, wasn't for her. It was for me. I forgive you, I said quietly, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. And then I hung up. 7. The lessons that stay forever. It's been a year since everything fell apart. A year since I discovered the betrayal that nearly broke me. And you know what? I'm okay. More than okay, actually. I rebuilt my life, found a new place, focused on my career, reconnected with friends and family I'd neglected while trying to save a marriage that was already dead. I learned something important through all of this. Betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. I could have stayed bitter, could have spent years hating Sarah and Jake, letting that anger consume me. But I chose differently. I chose to take control, to stand up for myself, to demand the respect I deserved. Did my revenge make me feel better? Honestly, yes. Not because I enjoyed watching them suffer, but because I finally took my power back. They'd made me feel small, invisible, like I didn't matter, and I proved to myself that I did. But here's the real lesson. You can't build a future on lies. Sarah and Jake thought they could have their secret relationship and keep me in the dark forever. They thought I'd never find out, and even if I did, they probably assumed I'd just accept it. They underestimated me, and that was their biggest mistake. If you're reading this and you've been betrayed by a partner, a friend, anyone, I want you to know something. You are stronger than you think. The pain you feel right now, it's real, it's valid, but it won't last forever. You will heal, you will rebuild. And one day, you'll look back and realize that losing them was actually the best thing that ever happened to you. Because sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are simply clearing the path for something better. Sarah begged for forgiveness, and I gave it to her. Not for her sake, but for mine. Because holding on to that anger would have only hurt me in the end. But forgiving someone doesn't mean letting them back into your life. It means releasing the hold they have on your heart. I'm free now, truly free. And that's worth more than any apology she could ever give. So if you're going through something similar, remember this. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about reclaiming your dignity, your worth, your peace. And trust me, that's the best revenge of all.